Hello! The Moonlighter 2 playtest just ended, and one of the biggest changes was the shop mechanic. So that's what this video will be about. The next video will be about everything else that was changed or added. In the Moonlighter 2 demo, you collect items from the dungeon, increasing the price of items with curses on other items, to try to get the prices as high as possible. Then, when back to the shop, put it on a shelf, and then when someone goes to buy it, you would haggle with them to increase the price using different perks. You could get these perks back through doing various things around the store. In this system, you don't have to try and sell an item multiple times. It's always going to sell, no matter what. Just maybe for not as much as you would have wanted. But in the new system, it's very similar to Moonlighter 1, where you collect items from a dungeon and increase their value with an item's curses. Items now can be sold like this. There's a price a villager will not buy an item for, a price a villager will grudgingly buy, a price they find reasonable, and a price that is too cheap. All items of the same type have the same price numbers. Every sunstone you'll ever get will always follow these numbers, but it's up to you to find them, as you start off knowing none of them. Sometimes you'll sell too cheap and lose money, and sometimes you'll price it too high and have to lower it, sometimes over and over again until you get the right price. And the value stat I mentioned earlier that you increase during the dungeons adds an additional amount to that set price. So you can set it at the acceptable 50 price, and then with a high value stat, it could go up to 80 or 90, and they would still buy it as the original price was fair. But do I think the original bartering or the new trial and error system is better? I'll judge it in these categories. Fun. How fun is it to play with? Repetitive. Will it get dull really fast? Satisfying. How does it feel to close a big sale? And then, which is better for the game? Can it be expanded upon, even hours into the game? Starting with, how fun is it? The original was very fun. Managing your perks so you would have the best ones ready for your high value items was engaging. Sometimes you could get the price really high, and it was more like a roguelike with going for certain perks to make strong, making it different every single day you opened your shop. The new one is overall less fun. It takes a while finding all the right prices for the first time. The perks feel less interesting as you're not the one putting them to work. They're just passively happening. Like this one where you increase your tip percentage. Yeah, it's good and it makes you $200 extra per thing, but you didn't do anything for that. You're just standing there manning the register instead of compared to the last one where you're the one putting those perks to work and making the money. And then when you do get all the right prices, it's less rewarding than the first game, as in Moonlighter 1, your shop is super large and happy customers all over the store left to right. Very satisfying. But in Moonlighter 2, I really can't imagine the store getting much bigger than this. But that's stepping into scalability, so we'll bring that up again later. But this way, it just feels like it's less on you to make the price high. And I think for the shop, it's bad to be like the first game, as I want something new compared to Moonlighter 1, and the price guessing was one of the things I wasn't the fondest of. I think some people are remembering it like it was a really fun mechanic. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, I really wish the Moonlighter 1 shop was included in some way. Do you remember how not fun it is sometimes? Getting a really high value item and like kind of shooting high because you think it's gonna be worth that much and you're scared of losing a bunch of money, and then you have to guess like a gazillion times, and then when you finally do get it, then you just have it. So I just want something new compared to Moonlighter 1, and just price guessing was not one of the things that was my favorite. So the old system being more engaging, making the shop day interesting and feel rewarding, and contrasting with the new one being slower to start and unrewarding even when you have all the prices right, I'm going to give the original shop system the win. Now for repetitive. The original system is very new and fresh, so people coming from the first game will have something new to learn. It's interesting and can repeat it a lot of times and have variation all throughout. And with something I'll bring up later, this system can continue to be fresh for the entire game. The new system, though, has a disadvantage in that people coming from the first game already played a whole game with this system, me being one of those people, and I'm ready for something new. The perks and value mechanic don't involve you doing many things in the shop. Maybe I didn't get any of the fun perks, but so far I haven't been able to do much. And guessing the price can be frustrating, especially in this game specifically, where you don't have nearly as many chances to get the price right because of your reduced backpack size. In any given moment, you don't have many items to guess, unlike in the first game, where your backpack was the size of a Minecraft double chest. You could fit literally anything. So, since the old system has more variations, is different from the old game, more interactive, and doesn't have you doing repetitive trial and error, it wins again. Next up, how satisfying is it? I touched on this briefly in the fun category, but now I want to go more in depth. In the original system, using all your best abilities in the last sale of the day on your most expensive item was very satisfying, as you worked the whole day just to get enough abilities stored, and then made it worth it on an item you grinded the whole dungeon run to get. And it didn't have to just be big items, sometimes you got a really decent amount of money from a small item, and that was rewarding as well, turning something insignificant into a good bit of money. The new system takes a lot of this away. Now, if you have a high value item, all you have to do is stand there while someone buys it. You still have to play the dungeon to get it, but selling it is easy. And it could have been less satisfying if you had to guess the price on this item multiple times before, or just guessed too low the first time and lost out on a lot of potential money. This encourages you to overball and guess high numbers, and then inevitably guessing lower and lower and lower until they grudgingly buy it, making it just not feel good. And then even if you did get the right price and all items around your store, now 4 people were happy, and that's kind of it. Since you have less items per store day, I think the original system made every item worth it and impactful. Now, each item feels less so, and since you didn't even have many to start with, it ends very quick, turning what could have been a challenge to profit the most into just standing there, waiting for them to sell after finding the right prices after a while, and then it ends. Because the old system made the few sales you have feel better, big sales more exciting, and adding an important payout for good strategy, keeping all your perks for the end, the original shop wins this category. And finally, which one is more scalable? I think the original is much more scalable. As I touched on in the repetitive category, there are so many options for new perks, or new characters that only some persuasion tactics work on. Then the pets will have meaning again in this system, maybe making your perks better like they were originally meant for. But the downside to this would be that if your shop grew too big, it would be annoying to run around to all the people to sell them things. But in the newest demo, you find out that the most backpack slots you can have is 15. So you can only have that many items on a given day compared to the last game, unless you had Summon Keeper. So the amount of sales you make in a day is relatively limited, so this isn't a real issue. And in the new one, there are no more abilities, so you can't even scale that anymore. It would be hard to add new interesting characters to this, as you never talk to them anymore. And now, pets would have a hard time finding a use. Do they increase item quality? They could have just increased price in the last system. Do they make the next sale sell for more? Well, what if someone buys a random dumb cheap item that you didn't want to make extra money on? That works better in the last system because you can choose who to talk to first. And this system makes the small scale shop work against the game now, as once you find the correct price for all the items, the day goes by very quick and then it's over. While this may be good for some people who don't like to spend time in the shop, I really like that part a lot, so I see this as a negative. And I think it's weird that once you perfect the shop, you end up spending less time in it when you could instead be doing something interesting. So, since the old shop could have had more possibilities in adding to the roguelike aspects of the game through new haggling tactics, having the characters be meaningful, something that I think was utilized poorly in the last game, and finally, the new pets could do more here. Since the shop doesn't seem to be getting much bigger, running around won't be an issue, and I think the original shop wins this category too. In conclusion, because the original shop is new and different from the first game, because I really don't want to play a whole nother game with this shop system again, it makes sales more satisfying, have opportunities to stay fresh and be able to scale with the big game Moonlighter 2 is shaping up to be. I think that this is much better than the current playtest system. I don't think we realized what we had in the old shop system. Looking back on it, it's pretty fun and exactly what I would want in a sequel.